Hello, good morning. I thought it would be a good time to start my first reading vlog for July. Today's already the 5th, so I have spent the last week not reading at all. I was very busy. I was traveling. It was my partner's birthday, so we went to Berlin, but we basically only did like family and friends stuff there. We didn't do any sightseeing, so I thought there was no point in bringing the camera along, but it was really lovely. It was really nice, but yeah, as I said, super busy time, and I didn't really have time to read. So I have already finished a book, but it's a very tiny one, and that is M2WTF by Samantha Allen. This is a memoir about Samantha Allen's transition, and it is only like a couple of hours on Audible. It's an Audible exclusive, and it was included in my Audible, so I didn't have to pay for it, which was why I thought, even though it's quite short, it might be interesting. I really like the book Real Queer America by Samantha Allen, so I wanted to read something else written by her. And this memoir was really fun, really cool. She tried to, present the more absurd or funny things about transitioning. Obviously, the toilet theme came up, which is something that I think if you're talking about the funny things of transition, toilets will always come up, but also a lot of other things. And between the lines, there's definitely also sad stuff talked about. There's themes of bullying, of religion, of maybe your family not accepting you for at least a while. So but on the main feeling is quite funny and happy, and just celebrating the chance, the privilege to be able to transition as well. So I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought the tone was exactly what Samantha Allen wanted it to be. I loved that it was read or narrated by the author herself. So even though she talks about in this book how she doesn't like her voice, I did enjoy that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and that's my first book that I have finished this month. I started a new audiobook. I decided to go with In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. This is a book that I had my eye on for a while. It gives me all the summer feels, and I have only just started it, but I already have a suspicion, and if that is correct, I'll be so happy. My suspicion is that one of the characters is a mermaid, and as I said, if they are not, I will be so sad, but I really think the hints are so strong in the beginning, so we'll see. But this basically follows a son of a king. I think he's the fourth or fifth child of that, I think the fourth child of the royal family. And it is his time to do that like royal traveling thing, whatever, his tour when he's 16. He's on the ship with his older brother, and I guess that things will go wrong. So far, nothing much has happened. We're introduced to the characters, but it looks really cute. And if we have ships, if we have mermaids, if we have the sea, I will be so happy. That's what I need right now. So yeah, I'm very excited to finally listen to that book. And for my physical read, I still have one library book from last month that I didn't get to yet, and that is We're Not Free by Traci Chee. And this is a historical fiction set in the US after Pearl Harbor, and it follows multiple Asian American teens and sheds light on the horrible things that happened after Pearl Harbor to Asian American communities. So yeah, I'm 4 pages into that one. I really need to find the time to read, but right now it's just so stressful because I just came back from Berlin, and next week, or like in 2 days, I'll actually be traveling again for the weekend. So yeah, it's just a lot right now, but after that weekend, it should be fine. I should be here for a while. I hope that I might hopefully get the apartment that I want to move into this week. So that would like take so much pressure off of me to know that I have a flat where I can move into in August, so yeah, it's just a lot right now. So let's see how the reading goes. Hey, it is the 10th of July. Nothing reading-wise has happened. I have been traveling again, so I was like super busy. I didn't read anything. I rewatched the Fear Street movies, which was nice because I really love those on Netflix. So that was something. But I did my final library book haul here because my card has expired and so I can't get any more books here, and I have to finish these within the time frame that you can have them, so 4 weeks, because otherwise I can't renew them basically. So I would have to read 2 books per week, and yeah, I'm not doing so great for this first week. So my goal today is to possibly read all of this book. This is Medusa, The Girl Behind the Myth by Jessi Burton, illustrated by Olivia, Lomenech, Gill. And I've heard good things about this book from Riley Marie. She really enjoyed this, so I'm not quite sure what kind of age range this is. It was in the YA section of my library, but I can imagine that it is actually a lot darker than it seems. So this is a myth retelling about Medusa, obviously. And yeah, it has illustrations and it has pretty big font, so I'm sure I can read this today and then maybe make also some progress in We Are Not Free, which I'm really struggling with because I expect it to be sad. So we'll see where it goes, but that's the plan for today, to play catch up with these final library books from the library I have here. So it is the afternoon now and I finished reading Medusa. As I had expected, this was quite a quick read. It only took me a couple of hours to read these 200 pages. This book has also stunning illustrations. I think they really fit the tone and the vibe of the book. And yeah, there were a couple that I really enjoyed, though I would definitely recommend picking this book up in a printed version. I don't know if there's an audiobook or something like that, but I think you would miss out a lot if you didn't have these beautiful illustrations with it. Now, this is a retelling of the myth of Medusa, and we basically follow her when she has been living on this like secret island for 4 years with her 2 sisters. Her 2 sisters are immortal, but Medusa is mortal, and we learn that she has been there for 4 years, basically hiding because Athena has transformed her, and basically when the story starts, there is a boy arriving at the island, and Medusa is kind of figuring out whether she should talk to him, contact him in any way, or whether she should just hope that he will leave and not return. And so that's what we're following. We also learn the backstory of what happened so that she was transformed, and we learn what happens with that boy. And I really like this. It feels like the little sister of Circe in a way, because yeah, it's just much shorter and more to the point, I would say, but the kind of themes and basic ideas that are in here are also very prevalent in Circe, which is, both of these are more like feminist Greek myth retellings. But this book also reminded me a lot of The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill, which is a Little Mermaid retelling, but it has very similar themes. They're both YA, and they both deal with this question of what you should and shouldn't do as a girl when you fall in love with a boy. So I really like this. I like this kind of more feminist perspective. I think there were a lot of like very positive messages in here that younger girls should definitely hear. Still a big trigger warning in this one for rape. It is not made, or it's not described explicitly, but it's definitely, yeah, it happens. So it's in here. So yeah, maybe just make sure that whoever reads this is properly prepared for that topic. But yeah, I think it was really good. I still have to think about it a little bit, because right now I do feel like I should give this 5 stars, because there isn't really anything I would change about it. But yeah, maybe it will be a 4.5. I think I will just see how this sticks in my mind, whether I will forget about it quite quickly or whether this is something I will keep thinking about in the next couple of days. So yeah, but it's very, very good, and I would highly recommend it. So now for the rest of the afternoon, I will go into the bathtub and I will take We Are Not Free. So hopefully I will get a little bit more into the story so that I don't dread it so much. So last night I finally picked up We Are Not Free for real. I'm now about 100 pages in, and the beginning of this was so hard to read. Like the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 chapters, I think mainly the first 2, were just so hard to read, because it's about these like normal teenagers whose lives get completely destructed by their government. And this is just so scary to me, especially with what's going on in the US right now and in many other countries. Like, things are happening that we didn't really expect, or that we were so sure that they wouldn't happen again in our lifetime, like war in Europe. So reading stuff like this, reminding me of the beginning of The Handmaid's Tale as well, where normal citizens can from one day to another lose all their rights because of something. It's just so scary. It's so scary to me. So I had a very hard time getting through the first chapters, but I think now I'm a little bit in the groove of things. We get to know the characters a little bit better, and I've heard people say that there's a little bit too many characters. I think so far I have read like 4 chapters, so 4 different characters, but I actually do like that. We get quite a well-rounded look, and especially the last one I've read now, which is Betty, or Hiromi, whatever you prefer. That one was really heartbreaking as well, not because of what's happening to these kids, but just because of her internalized racism, or I don't even know if it's racism, because it is like more like self-stigma. Like, she doesn't believe she can be beautiful because all the famous actresses are white and she is Asian. So that's so heartbreaking, and it just shows how important actors and actresses of all like races, ethnicities, genders, and stuff like that, they're so important, and that chapter really showed that. So yeah, I am enjoying this. I feel like I am quite slow reading it, but I don't know if this is just a feeling because the chapters are quite long. But yeah, I will continue reading this, and my goal is to finish this before this vlog is over, but I don't really know whether that is realistic, because I still have over 200 pages, like almost 300 pages to go. So I better shut up now and get reading. So today is the 15th of July, and I think today is gonna be the last day for this vlog, so I'll do an update tomorrow morning, hopefully, when I have finished the 2 books I'm currently reading. So I made some progress in We Are Not Free. I have now less than 100 pages to read, and I also saw that one of the chapters is in verse, so I'm pretty sure that I can finish this tonight. This will be my main goal, because yeah, this has been dragged along for way too long, but it is really hard to read. I must say that it's just not fitting my current mood, and even if it was, it's just such a hard topic to read about, especially the last chapter I read last night, where we actually get insight into the actual Second World War, which is always hard to read, you know, reading about the battles and the fighting and stuff like that. I still felt like it was a little bit too heroic for my taste. I do understand what the author is trying to do there, but I still don't really agree with this view that, there's something heroic about a war. I just can't. But yeah, I do understand that the author is trying to portray how, how these people fought, like the Japanese soldiers fought for very different reasons, and because of that, they had kind of a higher motivation because they were trying to end the war as quickly as possible so their families might finally be freed. But still, it's war. I don't like it. So apart from that, there have been some other chapters that I really enjoyed, and I think the special thing about this book is that literally every chapter is another POV. I think the one I like the most is Keiko, but she's also the one that we see the least of. There's only like a very small snippet of her story that we get from her point of view. But that one just really stuck with me because it's some experiences that I could kind of relate to. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I still have a hard time keeping track of these characters. I think there are a little bit too many. I do like how it always transitions, so you can usually guess from the previous chapter whose perspective will follow it. So I think that is done quite well, but whenever we switch the perspective, I don't really remember who all of the characters were, because obviously every new perspective has new associations with every single character, so that's like really hard to keep track of, and it's not working for me. Like, I would have had to make a table with the characters to kind of get everything like in an Excel sheet or something to really work things out, and I didn't do that. So that is definitely disconnecting me from the story, and I think that is just a storytelling problem and a like characterization problem. I think there would have been ways to make it more obvious, but they weren't chosen. So that's something that is also yeah, just a struggle for me when reading this book. But I'm almost done. As I said, I think I will finish it tonight and then let you know my final verdict. Yeah, I think I have a little bit more left of that war chapter, so I'm hesitant to go back into that, but it's time for me to finish this book, and I will. The other book I'm almost done with. I have 45 minutes left of the audiobook, which I will listen to later today. That is, what's it even called? In Deeper Waters. I am enjoying this book as well. I think this will probably be a 4-star. I don't think that the last 45 minutes will do anything that will like bump it up or bump it down. I think it's a very enjoyable, fun, summery read about, princes, mermaids, ships, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a fun adventure. I really enjoy it, and it's just a solid audiobook. So I'm not quite sure what audiobook I will start after that. Too many options, but I'll probably discuss that in the second part of this month's vlog. We'll see. I keep you updated. I let you know my final thoughts tomorrow, and then we'll end this vlog. So today's the 16th of July, and last night I finished We Are Not Free by Traci Chee, and I decided to give this 4.5 stars. I already talked about my critiques of this book yesterday, so I will not repeat myself, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the ending. When I talked to you last, I was in the middle of the World War chapter, so I finished that last night, and then there is, I think, three more chapters after that. I really enjoyed this book, obviously. I gave it a very high rating. I think that it is just a very good portrayal of a historical event or time that a lot of people are uneducated about, so I think that is always very important. It's great that this is very accessible even for younger readers, even though the contents are quite harrowing. So yeah, I couldn't really say what kind of age category I would classify this at, but there's obviously a lot of horrible things happening in here, and the ending is very, very sad. So I did actually cry a little bit, but it's also hopeful a little bit. But it's definitely more focused on how horrible the incarceration of the Japanese American people during the Second World War was. I think this is also an important read because it is one of the kind of stark examples of the Asian hate that still exists in America. And I think the way that this is portrayed in this book is very visceral. So I guess, yeah, there are some slurs used in here. And in the author's note, the author also explained why I think she or they decided to use these slurs, even though they are hurtful to Japanese American people. I think that this was important in a way because the kind of feelings that the characters expressed because of that were so easy to understand, because you can really picture the scene and you can imagine how you yourself would feel if that would happen to you. So I think even though it might not be easy to read for a lot of people and could be taken the wrong way, I guess, it was still incorporated in a very good way, I think, in this book. So, yeah. Still, I think that beside this, there's obviously a lot more that goes into the hate against Asians and Asian Americans in the US, and in the author's note, the author also reflects that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think it is definitely worth a read, and I'm glad that I finally read this, even though I wasn't really in the mood for a book like that right now, but it was really good. And then I also finished my audiobook, which was In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. And this book I really enjoyed. I also talked about it yesterday a little bit. This is just such a fun, adventurous story, but it does have very important themes and messages, which I really liked. In the end, I decided to give it 4 stars. The ending was quite dramatic, and even though you kind of know where it's going, I think, yeah, it was definitely traumatic and kept me on the edge of my seat a little bit. But I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun listening to it. I did enjoy the characters. I was not expecting this book to make me fall in love with a character whose name is Garrett. Like, that was a surprise, but I loved him. He's so adorable. So yeah, I really loved the family dynamics, the sibling dynamics in this book. They were portrayed in such a heartwarming way that was incredible. So if you want to read about supportive, amazing siblings, this book is definitely it. I think the romance was really sweet as well, even though, yeah, I'm not a big romance reader, so this is not what made me go crazy in this book, but it was cute, it was sweet, and I could definitely appreciate it. It's a male-male romance, but I think the main character is interested in both genders or all genders. It's not really said explicitly, but there are some mentions that the main character has been interested in girls as well, I think. So yeah, really liked it. I think the representation was good. I think the adventure was fun, and I did love this whole family dynamic. I think that yeah, the like evil side of things could have been fleshed out a little bit more. I was just very straightforward, and I would say I wasn't like the biggest fan of the way that women are portrayed in this book. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I just felt like they could have gotten a little bit more substance, especially since the main villain is a woman as well. So there are some interesting little seeds for these female characters, but they never get to really flourish in this book. So that was something I thought was a little bit sad, that they all felt, yeah, very... I don't even know how they felt. Just like very underdeveloped and very much on the sidelines. But apart from that, really enjoyed it. 4 stars, would definitely recommend. And that is the finished vlog for you. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was somewhat entertaining. I know that my life seems very boring right now. It is very, very exciting and also terrifying at the moment, but I don't really share a lot of that on here. So yeah, I hope this was somewhat entertaining. I hope that some of these books might be interesting to you. I at least had a lot of fun reading these books, so that's good. And yeah, if you're interested, I will upload the second part of my July reading in a few weeks. So see you back then. Yeah, leave a like or nice comment, always appreciate those, and goodbye.